Story time. Welcome to another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. Happy Friday, folks, and welcome to another show. I see we've got our regulars here, and we've been infiltrated by a bunch of rowdy hooligans who want nothing but trouble. Moderators, you know what time it is. Handle your business. Get them the hell out of here, because ain't nobody got time for that shit. Seriously. I'm happy to see you guys, but honestly, I don't have the patience for it. Not today. I'm a little bit, despite my pleasant demeanor, I'm a little bit grouchy. There's been some stuff going on in the news that has Brooklyn Dad, a little bit grouchy. Nothing that I can't handle or I can't get over, but I'm a little bit not too happy about some of this shit that's going down. So we're going to get into that, and we're going to get into a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But let's first cover what we're going to discuss in what I like to call stories of the day.
Stories of the day.
Okay, let's see. I love that. All right, so let's read hello. Okay, let's read the title of today's show. It's Tucker Puckers for Putin, Bogus SCOTUS, and Fire Merrick Garland. All right, so what do we have here? Tucker Carlson took a break from his busy schedule of interviewing cat turds to to head across the pond and interview a murderous dictator. The Supreme Court heard arguments for and against the removal of Donald Trump from the Colorado ballots. We'll discuss why the Supreme Court seems to be leaning towards a verdict that favors Trump. And President Biden has been exonerated by special counsel Robert Hur, but you wouldn't know it because his exoneration was muddied with a bunch of bullshit, extraneous, gratuitous commentary that was unhelpful. And last but not least, I think we may have an unusual Raggedy Bish for today. You'll be surprised by who I name this week's Raggedy Bish. Stay tuned. And if you're just arriving, if you're new to the show, make sure you click on the subscribe button, which is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and also hit the like. Hit the like. It looks like a thumbs up. Thank you very much. That helps us hugely. And let's see, before we get on to that, let's just say a quick hello to Jetstar One. Wait, first, no. Let me start off with Zelda. My friend Zelda is always first. She's always first to the show. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for joining us here. Fox Hill Dreams. Punxsutawney Mo. Let me just say about our friend Punxsutawney Mo. He dropped some knowledge. He actually had a request for me. I don't often read my DMs because they're just too many. I get way too many, and a lot of them are toxic. But Punxsutawney Mo was Concernicus. He sent me a screenshot of one of many, many, many troll posts. That um, let's see, what was this? I think I can actually show you this bullshit. And I don't like to shine a light on it, but I'm doing this for a purpose, right? So you guys by now have already seen. Let's see. Is it this one? No. Hang on. I think it's not that. And where the hell is it? Give me a second here, guys. Oh, that's why it's not showing, because I have it on mute. So let's see if I can see that now. There it is. Okay, so you guys by now have already seen the allegations that I sold my kids for drugs. So here's a post by this jackass here, aka looks like they just photoshopped some text on my face. And so now it must be true since it's on the internet, and we know everything that shows up on the internet is true. And it says I should be in prison. This thing got, at last time I checked, had something like, it's got 1.4 million views and has at least 25,000 likes on Twitter, which is wild that people will pay money, not pay money, but people will actually believe stuff that they see, the most negative, nasty thing that you can possibly see. Zelda, my friend, thank you. Thank you for that kind donation. I appreciate you. Thank you for that. They'll believe that just because they hate you. They hate you, and it's nasty. Hence, it must be true. So it's not true. Punxsutawney Mo was kind enough to forward that. Wait, was it that one? Yeah, it was kind enough to forward that to me. And his request is could you guys, my friends, right? Could you guys please not just block those toxic clowns, those trolls, but he asks that you track and report them, because when he says they're not just toxic, he's talking about like actual Nazis, right? These are people who throw around the N word like fish, swim, and like birds fly. That they just very comfortable with the N word and anti-Semitism and all that hateful stuff. So he's asking you guys to please don't just block them, but see if you can report these folks and track what they're doing, like one by one, little by little. We can work together to take them down. And so, Punxsutawney Mo, thank you for that. That was actually, I thought it was very interesting enough for me to take an aside and bring that up here. So let's see, who else was I talking to? Above us, we had Foxtail Dreams, Punxsutawney Mo, Veronica Tello is here, Cindy C, The Trump Reaper, LB, Meredith Powell, Eleanor Aquitaine, with an interesting comment. We're going to talk about this later. She says, it's a pay-for-play SCOTUS. We've been sold out. That's an interesting comment. And not wrong. Kat Deso, Meredith Powell, Samantha Hawkins, Cha-Cha, Jetstar 1011, and Carol Lowe, Valerie G. Cindy C. asks, did you hear Hal say he'd like to have you on his show? I haven't heard that. I'm very interested. Are you if you're talking about Hal Sparks? I know I've heard a great deal of Hal Sparks. I would be honored to be on his show if that's the Hal. And if it's not, please correct me. Let me know. Lulu Girl is also here. General Putnam, haven't seen you in a while, my friend. Thank you. But just Carol Glynn and Bernadette Ramos. Here's another one. There's a blast from the past there. Bernadette Ramos back on the scene. Mama AG, welcome you guys. So let's see. Here's an interesting factoid since we're talking about being on a podcast. The other day, I was approached, second time, was approached by a person who does the booking, the scheduling for a person by the name of Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels apparently has a podcast and wanted me to be on her show. Apparently. So I was intrigued. I was like, what? Really? Yeah. So fun fact about Stormy Daniels. Like, you know that 6 degrees of separation concept, like everybody's kind of connected in some way. Stormy Daniels and I are kind of connected, 6 degrees of separation, because I wrote a little while back, I wrote a little old book called The Littlest President, right? And the main character of this book is Spanky McDumbass. Well, the name Spanky McDumbass was inspired by none other than, you guessed it, Stormy Daniels. Stormy Daniels, I watched her on uh, CBS 60 Minutes like years ago, like probably 2018. And she was talking about how he likes to be spanked. He likes to be spanked with a magazine with his face on it. And I was like, that was like the funniest shit I ever heard. So in my brain, immediately I thought Spanky was the new nickname I was going to be calling him. Um, so hence, anyway, so that's what happened. That's how I came up with Spanky McDumbass. But now, I guess she's got a chaotic schedule, so she was unable at the very last minute. She had to cancel out. So I hope, if you're watching Stormy, hit me up. I'm available. We can discuss times and dates, whatever. I would love to be on your show, and let's discuss things and politics and why you and I both want to see Donald Trump defeated in November. All right. So now, with that said, hello, Monique Lee. I see you there, my friend. And Carol Carson is here. All right. So let's get back to the content. This Sunday, there's a game going on, apparently, that some folks are going to be watching. Actually, a lot of folks are going to be watching it. It is probably the biggest sporting event of the year, and I'm not sure how it compares to like the Olympics. Maybe more people watch the Olympics, but it's pretty big. You got a lot of eyeballs watching the Super Bowl, and this year should be a very interesting game between the Kansas City Chiefs. Sherry Scary, if you're there, congratulations to your team again. The Kansas City Chiefs versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, the last time I rooted against the Kansas City Chiefs was when they were playing the Eagles. And that was funny, too, as a Giants fan to root for the Eagles. But I thought, like, there's no way. I thought there's no way, Kansas City is going to beat Philadelphia. They had a strong running game and a great defense and Jalen Hurts. And so, yeah, lo and behold, I learned that day not to bet against Pat Mahomes. Don't do it. Don't do it, because that kid has an arm. He's got talent. He's like a generational talent. He's not a Tom Brady. You got to go a long ways to compare someone to Tom Brady. And I can't stand Tom Brady, but I respect what he's done. But yeah. So I guess I'm happy whichever team wins, to be perfectly honest with you. San Francisco 49ers. I like Brock Purdy. You guys know that I was playing fantasy football this past year, and I came in third, and wifey came in fourth place. And she came in fourth with Brock Purdy as her quarterback, and that was my recommendation. I said, she didn't even draft him, she picked him up off the waiver wire. Like nobody even wanted him. I was like, yeah, pick up that dude. And Guy was like better than 90% of the quarterbacks this year. And he wasn't even, his nickname was Mr. Irrelevant. Why? Because he wasn't even, he was like the last guy drafted. That's the nickname they call the last person who's drafted, Mr. Irrelevant. So, he's had a ton of criticism, people saying that he's a game manager and he's not that good, but dude's in the big game now. So if either team wins, it would be fine. But I would be especially happy if the Chiefs win, not just because that'll be Mahomes' third ring and the Chiefs' third Super Bowl ring, but also because there's another player involved that's not on the field, and she has she has drawn the ire of MAGA Nation. Oh, they can't stand her. Wait, why are we congratulating Valerie? Oh, Valerie G. Hang on, we got some good news to share here. My son and daughter-in-law are expecting a baby boy in June. That's sweet news. Congratulations. I'm happy to actually be able to share some good news here. And Cha, very interesting. Love Mahomes and McCaffrey, two different teams, two different players, great players. McCaffrey is the running back, CMC for the 49ers. But yeah, I'm thrilled if the Chiefs win, because Taylor Swift will then be able to really lord it over MAGA for the rest of the year. I really kind of want to see them win badly, but I won't be upset if San Francisco wins. Tonight, as you guys know, is pizza and movie night. I'm going to try to move this along at a little bit more of a crisp rate so that we can get through the content that I have here. Tonight's movie is going to be The Banker, apparently inspired by true events, and it's starring Anthony Mackie. Some of you may recognize Anthony Mackie as the Falcon in the Avengers and Captain America movies, and of course, Samuel L. Jackson as also as Nick Fury in the Marvel movies. So we have these two Avengers who are going to be in a movie based on true events, in which here's the plot. This is why I'm very interested, right? Anthony Mackie's character is interested in this. Now, this takes place, mind you, in I want to say the 50s, judging by the clothes they're wearing. Anthony Mackie's dream is to own a bank, and not just to own a bank, but be able to loan money to Black people. So that's a big deal, because back then, if you were Black and you were trying to get a loan for a home, it was tough because white banks wouldn't loan to you. And I guess when I say white banks, that's probably redundant, right? Because there really weren't any Black banks, not yet. So that's his goal. And Samuel Jackson looks at him like, "Are you crazy? Do you realize that you woke up today Black?" And so they come up with a plan to get a white guy, all right, to front as them. And this white guy here is going to worm his way into the finance world and make that purchase of a bank. So this feels like a heist, kind of movie, and it's also got some historical weight to it during Black History Month. So I'm very excited to see this movie. Hey, there's Sandra from Paramount, California. Glad you made it here, my friend. Welcome. All right, let's see. All right. Let's jump right on into the rest of our content here. So, excuse me. This week we had the Nevada. I've learned a while back it's pronounced Nevada, not Nevada. I used to pronounce it Nevada as I was growing up. It was always Nevada, but no. Nevadans prefer Nevada. So Nevada had its oh no shit. Time out. So Cindy C Confirmed. She says, yes, Hal Sparks, elevator guy in Spider-Man 2, mentioned you on one of his shows after showing one of your tweets and said he'd like to have you on. That would be awesome. And I remember the scene. He was coming down in the elevator and he commented on Spidey's costume. And Spidey said, yeah, it's itchy. Spidey just attempted to, or Peter Parker attempted to deliver a pizza before 30 minutes expired, and he failed by like a minute or something, lost his job. Anyway, that's very cool. Thank you, Cindy C. And I'm going to see if I can figure out how to get in touch with Hal and let him know I am available. Anyway, President Biden won the Nevada primary. That's not a surprise, right? It's not, because he is the leader of the party, right? However, there are people still, running against him in this primary. Marianne Williamson is one. Uh, that other jackass, Dean Phillips, didn't even make it onto the ballot in Nevada. And I don't know what his deal is, but I guess these guys irritate me because I feel like, you guys are fucking around like we have the luxury of not beating Donald Trump. Some people treat a possible Donald Trump second presidency as, it'll be fine. We made it through worse. I'll survive. They'll survive. They don't give a shit about the rest of us who will be at the whim, at the mercy of a fascist dictator motherfucker. Not all of us have that luxury. We're not privileged. We're not rich. A lot of people who are rich, they're going to be fine. Susan Sarandon comes to mind. I remember when she threw her weight behind what was it, Jill Stein? I think it was Jill Stein. Yeah, and she survived, of course, because she's rich and famous. And the shit that happens to the little people like us down here doesn't affect the folks up there. So anyway, none of these candidates also was an entry that had a devastating effect to Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley participated in the Nevada primary. Now, here's an interesting thing, right? I'm not sure how this happened, how this went down, but the RNC decided that they wanted to have not only a primary, but also a caucus. And I believe the reason behind this, hello, Marie from New Jersey. I see you there, my friend. They decided that they wanted to have both a primary and a caucus. And the reasoning behind it was that I think they were concernicus that Donald Trump might be embarrassed by the result of one of those. It might have been the primary. So they decided to have a caucus that they could rig. So he got the majority of the votes. And needless to say, Nikki Haley was not involved in the caucus. She was involved in the primary. And the result was pathetic. She lost to none of these candidates. Sylvia wants to know, how do you lose to no one? Yeah, exactly. How do you lose to no one? I don't know. It's very difficult, but Nikki Haley, she figured out a way to do it. Bigly, too. You see there, 60%. She lost 60% to 33%. Wow, that is insane. Let's see. Also in the news today, the Senate broke a filibuster, 67 to 32. This is an interesting story. They broke this filibuster so that they could vote. So they could vote on whether or not to fund Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Now, my feelings on funding Israel changed drastically. I'm very upset about what is happening in Israel. Very upset about it, and I don't think they've earned our funding. Not for what the fuck they're doing over there. But let me not get sidetracked. I will touch on that in a minute. But what was I saying? Oh, okay. So Ukraine and Taiwan are also up for being funded. And I believe they're bundling that because they realize that all three of those regions are going to require our help at some point. Most immediately, I would say Ukraine. Ukraine, if they don't get funding, they will basically lose to Russia. A Russian flag will be flying over Ukraine. You can bet that they will be. Uh, Vladimir Putin swore up and down that he wasn't going to invade Ukraine before he actually invaded Ukraine. So when he says, I have no interest in Poland, don't believe him. Do not believe him. Okay. Wait a minute. I'm seeing here there's a pineapple debate with a pizza debate. No pineapple, no anchovy, but drag it through the garden. I'm guessing drag it through the garden means you like veggies on your pizza. Well, let me tell you, I like pizza with pineapple on it. Pineapple and mushrooms and onions. I do like that. Um, and I've had anchovies before. I think they're salty. They're a little bit too salty for me. But I do love some pineapple. Okay. Um, so yeah, I think that the most critical funding right now is for Ukraine. Ukraine is fighting that war so that we don't have to. We don't have any American boots on the ground there. No American soldiers have died at the hands of Putin's soldiers and weapons. Um, we send them our old weapons, and as a result, those old weapons have to be replenished. So we're creating new jobs, right, for the people who have to create those weapons to furnish our military with brand new equipment. So it's like, it's a win-win. They get our old shit, costs us nothing, and we're creating jobs, et cetera, et cetera. And they're fighting a battle so that we don't have to. We don't have to send our people over there, right? It's a win-win. It makes perfect sense. Um, One person I wish we could send over to Russia and let them keep is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson went over to Russia to interview Vladimir Putin. He's taken, as I said in the beginning, in the intro, he's taken time out of his busy schedule of interviewing cat turds to interview the window throwingest, murdering dictator in Russia, Vladimir Putin. And I wondered, like, what is even the point of interviewing Vladimir Putin? Like, I mean, is it a clout thing? Clout? Are you, trying to elevate yourself? Are you trying to elevate him? Because we already know that Vladimir Putin has his own state news, state propaganda uh, outlet all set up. So he controls every aspect of the news that uh, comes out of Russia. But it's a different thing to have a member of the American media machine there, helping to disseminate your talking points. So, what I thought was interesting was that Vladimir Putin absolutely um, kind of clowned, kind of clowned uh, Tucker Carlson. And I thought that was funny enough to share with you guys. So, I'm going to pull that up right quick. Boom. Yeah, let's pause this. Ba-da-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Meredith Powell says she went into Cat Turd's Rumble chat and got banned almost right away. Imagine being a fan of a guy who calls himself a piece of feline dung. Indeed, indeed, my friend. Okay. Let's see. Let's share this and let's share that. And let's go.
With the backing of CIA, of course. The organization you wanted to join back in the day, as I understand.
Look at his face.
We should thank God they didn't let you in. Although, it is a serious organization. I understand. My former... With the backing of CIA, of course. The organization you wanted to join
One more
back in the
time.
day, as I understand.
Look at his face.
We should thank God they didn't let you in. Although, it is a serious organization. I understand. My former... With the backing of CIA...
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I thought that's pretty funny. You know, you kind of you kind of hero worship this guy only for him to slam dunk you, to slam you into a locker. Tucker Carlson is shameless in his hero worship of Vladimir Putin. Just a couple of years ago, he asked his audience, he's like, why are we rooting against Russia? I'm rooting for Russia. Are you now? Like, what the hell happened to Republicans that all of a sudden they're going over there on the 4th of July? On the 4th of goddamn July. I know Ronald Reagan is turning over in his grave right now, looking at the smoldering embers of what used to be the Republican Party. It's abysmal. I thought the look on Tucker's face as he's being clowned was golden. I loved it so much. All right, let's see. Ba-da-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Okay. So President Biden had some harsh words for Israel and specifically Benjamin Netanyahu over how they are conducting their offensive against, I can only say, the Palestinian people. Yeah, they're saying that it's Hamas, right? But all we're seeing on the news are images of children covered in dust and blood being extracted from rubble. You know, that's all I'm seeing, right? It almost feels like they're using Hamas as like a blank check for everything, you know. So they've forced they've forced the Palestinians. There's over 1 million who are displaced. They're in a city, and I believe it's called Rava. Excuse me if I'm wrong. It's and that's where they went because there was nowhere else for them to go. And they've got like the border of Egypt behind them. Apparently, that is the destination. That is the next place Israel is going to go to continue its military offensive. And that's going to absolutely be a bloodbath. They're claiming that Hamas is hiding amongst them. You know, I don't even. They're using a sledgehammer to go after Hamas when they should be using a scalpel. And they absolutely have the ability to do this. They're choosing not to. To me, it looks and feels like ethnic cleansing. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me. And I'm really, I understand why the young kids are offended by what's going on over there, and I understand why they are upset with President Biden. I'm still with President Biden, and he sharpened his words against Israel recently. I think it was either today or yesterday. It's not enough. It's not enough. But yeah, this shit has to come to an end. Netanyahu rejected a demand, or not a demand, a negotiation, I guess, with Hamas to stop the shooting, for a ceasefire and for an exchange of hostages. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, but I can say honestly that I despise what is going on right now. I despise terrorism, right? I despise innocent people being killed, and that is what happened on October 7th. And I feel like, I mean, how many people do you have to kill? How many innocent children, innocent Palestinian children, do you have to kill to make this right? If you are killing 1,000 children to kill 5 terrorists, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And I would say the same thing if it was my country doing it to Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever. Yeah, that's where I'm at. Anywhere you look, anytime I see images coming out of Gaza, they look like this. Just I can't even imagine being there myself. I can't imagine there are people living in chicken coops, because there's nowhere else for them to live. They're just like inches away from a chicken as they sleep. All right. If you're watching, please remember to hit the subscribe and the like button. Okay. So the other day, it feels like it was a month ago. I think it was just yesterday. The Supreme Court heard arguments for and against removing Donald Trump from the Colorado ballot. Let me break down for you first how I feel about this, removing Donald Trump from the ballot. If they were to do that, I like it only because it feels like a loss. Immediately, it feels like a loss. Thank you, Eleanor. Thank you for the kind donation. Thank you. It feels like a loss for Donald Trump, right? Just on the surface, just like my knee-jerk reaction. I feel like, yeah, fuck that guy. I think about it a little bit longer, and I fully, wholeheartedly disagree with not acting against Donald, not holding Donald Trump accountable, because if we do, his followers will act out. That's kind of bullshit to me. I keep hearing that. I keep hearing people say, "Oh, if you arrest him, if you put him in jail, there will be civil war." Come on, you that's like if you have a child, you opt not to discipline them because if you do, they're going to wreck your house. Well, you got to fucking deal with that kid. You can't just send that kid out there into the world like a sociopath, wrecking people's stuff. You can't do it. This is a lesson that we've all had to learn. All of us who, again, are not billionaires or millionaires and we're not celebrities or anything, just regular people. If we break the fucking law, we are going to get put in prison. That's just that's how it is. But what we're seeing is if you have money, if you have resources, if you have connections, you can play the game. And that is what Donald Trump is doing. He's playing this legal game. It's legal. It's like loopholes. He can delay these court cases to infinity. And that's what he's doing. Just, just technicalities, his lawyers that he, I guess he's paying them because he apparently spent $50 million on legal. I don't know how you spent $50 million, and now you still have to shell out $83 million, $88 million to Eugene Carroll. But yeah, he's spending money, and thus far, it's helped to delay 3 or 4 different court cases. So this Colorado case, so they are trying to use Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to keep him off the ballot. And frankly, all 50 states, not just Colorado, but all 50 states, for crying out loud, should be doing this. Not just one, not just Colorado, or Colorado and Maine, too. All. I was very disappointed with, extremely disappointed with what I saw by the Supreme Court yesterday. It clearly seemed to me, and as a whole, first of all, I was disappointed with the fact that this jackass Clarence Thomas was allowed to even sit in on that goddamn thing. There should be straight up rules. If your wife is actively involved in trying to overturn the election, then you shouldn't have a goddamn thing to say when that case is in front of you. Clarence Thomas, as we all know right now, is extremely compromised. He's been paid up the wazoo and given favors by billionaires. Harlan Crow is giving him free private jet trips and free trips on a special yacht. He's gotten millions in benefits. He's got a friend with benefits. So, and then he rules on those cases that come before him. So he shouldn't even be sitting there weighing in on this. Whatever the verdict ends up being, it should be minus Clarence Thomas. But he was there and he heard the arguments and he had questions or whatever. Somebody said earlier in the show, they said that the Supreme Court is a pay-for-play thing. Now, I was just talking about Clarence Thomas. I don't know about other people. I know for a fact that I feel like it was Elena Kagan who refused the simplest offer of bagels. It would never occur to me to say no to a gift of bagels, but she was like, no, I didn't. I want to avoid the look of impropriety, right? That's how you're supposed to do it. But Clarence Thomas is like, rookie. Yeah, so at least he's paid for play. Brett Kavanaugh, Mr. I Love Beer, he got money. Somebody paid off his debts, $200,000 worth of debt. Hello, Scott. I see you there, buddy. Welcome back. Lulu Girl, Sylvia P. Welcome. Thank you. Yeah, so that was one reason I was disappointed, was Clarence Thomas participating. The second is, like, they were all acting like you guys are supposed to be the constitutional experts. Like, you're the highest court in the land. And you had time to bone up on this shit. And they're acting like they can't define what an insurrection is. Come on. Whether it's organized or unorganized came up. But somebody deliberately acting against the government to unlawfully prevent a procedure that will finalize who the people have elected. If you're not using Section 3 of the 14th Amendment for that, what are you saving it for? What are you saving it for? They literally came up with a solution specifically for dealing with what the fuck, the most random shit that we have ever seen in the history of America. We've never seen a president, an outgoing president, refuse to hand over peacefully, transfer power. We've never seen this before. And it came up yesterday in this thing. And I was like, they were asking, what was this guy's name? Jason something, the attorney for Colorado. They were asking him, well, why isn't why hasn't anyone been convicted before for insurrection? And it's like, because this shit has never fucking happened before. We've never had a former president not only refuse to turn over power, but get his crowd riled up and send them to the Capitol to prevent a proceeding from happening, to prevent the turnover of power, to overturn the goddamn election. And he already had, they want to talk about, oh, this was a riot, but that wasn't the only thing that was happening. They had fake electors. They had fake electors that were going to, try to illegally give him the presidency. Come on. Cha-Cha pointing out that Texas ignored the Supreme Court's orders. I believe that's the thing to do with the razor wire. Yeah. It's unbelievable. So I was disappointed by that. And then at some point I noticed that, when they were talking to Trump's attorney, it seemed like a very cordial, brunch meeting. Versus when they were speaking to the attorney for Colorado, they were like, very rude. Actually, I remember Neil Gorsuch specifically was pretty rude and not nice to that nice young man, attorney from Colorado. I'll admit, maybe he didn't seem to have his shit as polished and as on point as Trump's lawyer, but maybe it's because Trump's lawyer wasn't interrupted as much as this guy was. I don't know, but it even felt like the so-called liberal justices on the Supreme Court were leaning away from Colorado keeping Trump's name off the ballot. So, how do I feel about Trump being on the ballot? If I'm being 100% honest, and I am 100% honest with you guys, I actually want I want Joe Biden facing Donald Trump. Yeah. They say, be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. And, they say that about sports specifically, right? They say that in sports, if the real champions face the best opponent they can possibly face. But, I feel like only Joe Biden can defeat Donald Trump. Only Joe Biden. Don't know why. It's just Joe Biden. Joe Biden knocked his ass out by 8 million votes before. I pray and hope that it's by even more this time around. But I think the only way to put to rest the whole thing, the whole notion of the election being stolen, I think if Joe Biden beats him again soundly, that other party, they've got to tell their story walking. It's that simple. They've got to be, MAGA has to be not just defeated, but humiliated. And it doesn't hurt that he's got 91 felony counts that he's facing. At the end of the day, they're both old guys. No surprise there. They're trying to make this thing a debate about who's older or who's older or who's in a mental decline. But before I go any further, let me just discuss these two people here. This is Andrea Mitchell and Katy Tur. Andrea Mitchell and Katy Tur are anchors for MSNBC. Some of you may have seen a tweet that I posted that I was just kind of fed up with those two. And let me just pull it up. I'm not going to share it on the screen. I'm just going to read from it here. I wrote, "Dear MSNBC," it's an Open letter to MSNBC. Your entire block of midday programming, starting with Andrea Mitchell and ending with Katy Tur, is horrible and highly unwatchable. It forces me to change the channel and sometimes just turn off the TV entirely. I am not alone in this opinion. Their coverage of President Biden is usually very unfair, unbalanced, negative, and even Fox News-like. Know your audience. This is an election year. Keep up the shitty coverage and watch your ratings slip. Your key demographic is not Trump supporters, it's President Biden supporters. Start acting like it. Now, am I asking for them to give us bullshit, to tell us that, it's raining when it's clearly sunny, to tell us that red is blue and blue is red? No, I'm not asking for bullshit. But a lot of the news that they present to us is curated. Let me give you a perfect example. Watching the news, and they will present us with two people on the street. They ask their opinion. And both of those people happen to say, I don't know about that Joe Biden. He's old. He's old. And prices were lower when Donald Trump was in office. Two people. Two out of, I don't know, if they're interviewing people in Miami, 2 out of 5 million Miami residents. Those are the two they go with. Are those the only two people they could have spoken to? No. They could have spoken to hundreds, thousands of other people, all with differing opinions, some of which maybe they were like, hey, the President Biden, he takes a lot of negative criticism, but I'm surprised he did a lot of good stuff so far. Yeah, I wasn't even expecting that. He did that infrastructure thing. My brother-in-law, he got a job doing such and such with the batteries. The news is choosing what they show us. And when I say they choose, they're not just choosing the topics, right? They're molding these topics. They're molding a narrative. And what narrative are they molding? They're molding a narrative right now. Oh, voters are concerned that Joe Biden maybe doesn't have the mental acuity and blah, 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 blah. And these two are the worst. You could see, I had to, sadly, I was unfortunate enough to have Katy Tur on my TV, excuse me, when the news broke about Robert Hur's, special counsel Robert Hur's report on President Biden's classified documents. And Katy Tur seemed like, she was just like, I've been waiting for this. Just like gleefully reporting this thing, And how you report the news, it matters. Look, whenever I put a tweet together, let me give you a for instance, right? When I put a tweet together, and I'm straight up honest with you, right? And I use a picture to go with a tweet about Trump. Am I picking a picture that, has Donald Trump standing there looking triumphant, looking svelte and slim and like a winner? No, I'm picking photos. I'm picking the photos that have him pouting and have his arms crossed. I'm picking the photos that, have him looking bloated and dry and crispy, crusty. I'm picking those pictures. I'm telling you straight up what I'm doing. But I am not a journalist. I am not the media. I am Brooklyn Dad, a.k.a. Majid Padelin. That's who I am, right? But the news, they also get to pick the photos that go along with their stories. Pay attention. I don't watch CNN anymore. I stopped watching CNN. But if they're running a story about Joe Biden, what pictures are they running to go along with that story? Are they choosing a picture that has President Biden looking like this? Watch. Pay attention. If you see President Biden squinting and going like that, that's that bullshit. That's that bullshit. You have millions of pictures of President Biden to choose from. I know. I'm constantly looking for pictures of people. It's the choice that they're making in the newsroom. What kind of picture? We want to depict President Biden looking like he's passing a gallstone. That's the fucking bullshit that we're getting from the media right now. And I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick and tired of this shit. We went through this in 2016. That's what gave us Donald Trump for 4 years. We don't need another 4 years of Donald Trump. We won't have a democracy anymore. That's not hyperbole. It's just I'm paying attention. So let's talk about that special counsel report where, again, we're talking about unnecessary information, right? Here, the necessary information was we did a thorough, extensive review of President Biden and the classified documents and motives and blah, blah, blah. And we determined that there was insufficient evidence to determine that President Biden had the intent to withhold, distribute, and share classified information. Guys, I'm not reading from cue cards or anything. That's extemporaneously right off the top of my head. Perfectly put. That tells the story of our investigation and what we found, right? Instead, he goes into, well, we decided not to charge him because, well, he's like a kindly old man with a bad memory. And like, what the fuck? Who asked you that shit? That has nothing to do with your investigation. His age, his kindly demeanor. What the fuck is that? Ooh, we got Eleanor Aquitaine saying she is a retired journalist. I got fed up with mainstream media 30 years ago when they became the voices of corporate America. Interesting. Marie from New Jersey says on one page, he says he willingly held docs. Then on another, he says the opposite. Yeah. So I heard the breakdown of that. And the one page where he says he willingly, it's that that's what they were that's the theory that they were going after, that he willingly. That was like on page 2. Then all the way on page 205 or 215, that's when they determined that they had insufficient evidence to determine willingly or willfully, whatever. I know this because I was watching. My God, did any of you guys see the press conference? Punxsutawney Mo is correct here. From 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. MSNBC is okay. Agree 100%. Nicole Wallace, wonderful. Ari Melber, he might be the weak link in the chain. Chris Hayes, I guess he's okay. The rest of them, gold. Alex and Lawrence and Stephanie, good lineup. What was I saying about this press conference that I don't know who that was. Maybe he works under Karine Jean-Pierre, but that dude was awesome. It was this guy who was taking questions, felt like 45 minutes straight. This guy was taking questions from the press. Relentless. They were beating this guy down, and you couldn't see a bead of sweat on his brow at all. He was cool as a cucumber, and he handled the questions with aplomb and patience. He was almost like a kindergarten teacher, explaining to their students, why is the sky blue? And they like to ask him like 15 times, and he'll patiently repeat it again, or he'll just say, you know what, we've already dealt with that, but let me explain it to you this way. Guy was solid. I'd never seen this guy before. He was kind of bald, white guy, I guess. He did a solid job. He was amazing. Anyway, President Biden got the news about this thing. The news should have been that he was exonerated. Instead, the news turned into President Biden found to be old with a bad memory. That's what the news turned into. That's unbelievable. And it happened, guys, this didn't happen over a period of hours. It was immediate. I literally just hit send on my tweet saying President Biden was exonerated. And all of a sudden, they're literally on the news saying, but the special counsel also said that President Biden is an old fart and he's got hemorrhoids. No, I didn't say it, hemorrhoids, but it was just very bizarre. It was bizarre. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a clip of angry President Biden. Chacha says she likes angry Biden. I do too. Angry Biden is the best Biden. Carol Lowe says, let Biden curse more. Yeah, let him do that. Excuse me. Boy, I can't tell you, I was so mad. I was so angry when this news unfolded. I was texting my friends and I was livid. I was screaming in my text messages, what the fuck is happening? Mad. I'm mad. I think I probably dropped about 20 F-bombs already, maybe more. I'm still tight over it. Still tight because it irritates me. There's a choice. As I said a few minutes ago, these folks make a choice in how they present the news. And they're just, they suck. They totally suck. Let's see. Let me share. Here we go.
How bad is your memory? And can you continue as president?
My memory is so bad, I let you speak. That's your
memory has gotten worse, Mr. President?
My memory is not good. My memory is fine. I know there's some attention paid to some language in the report about my recollection of events. There's even reference that I don't remember when my son died. How in the hell dare he raise that? Frankly, when I was asked the question, I thought to myself, wasn't any of their damn business. I think a special counsel should have been appointed. And the reason I think a special counsel should have been appointed is because I did not want to be in a position that they looked at Trump and weren't going to look at me, just like they looked at the vice president. And the fact is they made a firm conclusion. I did not break the law, period. It's totally out of
Period. He did not break the law. Yeah, and that's really all that should have happened with that story. But instead, that shit spiraled out of control. The fact remains, he did not have intent to hold on to those documents. What did he do? As soon as he found that he had them, he notified people and says, hey, look, I have these things. Come and get them. You're more than welcome to take this shit off my hands. And, the other guy not only lied about having it, but then he had his people move the documents and attempt to hide them. How do we know? Because they have that shit on video. It just boggles my mind that Trump has video cameras set up in his house and doesn't even bother to turn off the cameras. He leaves them running as these guys are moving these boxes. I mean, come on. And yes, Valerie G agreed. How mean to say he didn't remember when his son died. How low can they go? I don't think people even realize how fucking painful it is for someone to lose. I don't realize, God forbid, I'm knocking on all the wood I possibly can. All my children are alive and well, and you should never have to bury a child. That should never happen. They're supposed to bury you. And that Beau Biden was beloved by that man. He loves Hunter too, but it seemed like that shit really just cut a piece of his heart out when his son died. And come on. So apparently this guy Robert, when the news first broke, I was asking friends of mine who know politics. I was like, "Who the hell is this Robert Hur?" Is he Donald Trump's nephew or what the fuck? I was so mad. I was so tight. And apparently he is a Trump appointee, Robert Hur. And that's another thing that I want to point out, right? People like to accuse President Biden of he has a hand in, he's directing his DOJ and he's illegal. He's weaponizing the DOJ. No, what? The DOJ is coming after his own son. If he was weaponizing, if he had that kind of power, that report would have never seen the light of day, not as it was characterized. If he was controlling the DOJ the way they accuse him of doing, first he would have said, before that shit sees the light of day, before it goes public, I want to see it. I want to review it. I don't want a word to leak out of this thing, and I want to craft the messaging. That's what he would have said. If he's controlling the DOJ to that extent, why wouldn't he curate have somebody look it over? What do you think about this passage here? Should we change it? First of all, he would have just replaced Trump appointee Robert Hur. He would have just had him replaced by somebody who is Team Joe Biden. No, he left a Trump appointee investigating him. Who does that and wants to, control the DOJ? Who does that? Nobody does it. So that leads me to today's Raggedy Bish. Has anyone figured out who today's Raggedy Bish is yet? Let me see. Let me give you a chance to actually answer. Who is today's Raggedy Bish? Boom, boom, boom. Okay, let me play that clip. You Raggedy Bish. I love that clip. Let's see. We got some guesses here. We got Veronica Tello guessing Alyssa Farrah Griffin. Scott S. thinks it's Tucker. Valerie G. thinks it's Robert Hur. Meredith Powell, that's a good guess. She says Lindsey Graham. Nope. Sorry, nope. Eleanor Aquitaine, also guessing the special counsel, Hur. Bernadette, Hur. No, okay, none of you. I did say at the beginning that this was going to be a surprise, right? So before I continue and reveal who the Raggedy Bish is, let me just remind you all to please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to this show. Tell your friends about it, by the way. Tell your friends and your relatives, tell them tune in to BDD, for crying out loud. And also hit the like button. Okay, so as I said, today's You Raggedy Bish is a bit of a surprise. Who is it? It's this guy. Nobody guessed. Why would you guess Merrick Garland? Why would you guess Merrick Garland? Why would I say Merrick Garland, for crying out loud? I mean, he is a Biden appointee. President Biden appointed him to be the United States Attorney General, the guy in charge of our Department of Justice. Why am I putting this guy on the hot seat? Because I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in Merrick Garland. Merrick, let me just tell you something, all right? The fact that President Biden has left his nose out of your department doesn't mean to just leave him, blowing in the wind. That's your department. You let that shit get out. That's messed up. Yeah, I know it's special counsel means independent and all that shit, but at the end of the day, it's your department. It's your department. I blame him. I also blame Merrick Garland for not helping these court cases to proceed at a better pace. Now, they say that these, as far as court cases are concerned, court cases tend to move slowly, but that these cases are moving along at a crisp pace. I disagree. The election is on November 5th. It's 9 months from now. 9 months. And it doesn't appear that any of these cases will be decided in time for the election. That makes a difference. What happens if Donald Trump, let's just say, worst case scenario, right? I don't think it's going to happen, but let's say, what happens if Donald Trump is victorious? Brooklyn, Dad, what are you saying? Everything is possible, right? What happens if he wins? Then what? Well, have you heard of this thing called Project 2025? Scary. Some scary shit. That's basically vengeance. Vengeance will be mine, saith Donald Trump. Vengeance. I will be your retribution. That's all he cares about. He's going to spend 4 years fucking with everybody, just getting payback. That's it. Doesn't really have to do much else. President Biden has this economy on track to the moon. We're doing great. We got jobs, jobs hand over fist. We've had 2 straight years of job growth. That hasn't happened since the 60s. We've got record highs in the stock market right now. Record highs. We've got wage growth, 5%. 5% wage growth. It's outpacing inflation. What's the bad shit that could happen? What could happen? Well, you've all heard people coming after abortion. They want to nationalize abortion. They want to sign a national abortion bill. So that will make it illegal to get an abortion. People can go to jail for getting an abortion. I mean, me personally, does it matter? Yeah, I have a daughter. She's not even, she's young. She's a teenager. But God forbid, at some point in her life, she's in that situation where, she has a difficult pregnancy that's threatening her life. A lot of these abortion bans are, they don't give any consideration for the life of the mother. What happens then? And for the people saying, oh, it'll never happen. That's what we said about abortion. Every one of those Donald Trump Supreme Court appointees stood up there and lied in their confirmation hearings. They lied and said, oh, it's settled law. I forget the term they used, the court case they cited. But they, oh, yeah, it's decided. I would never do. Get this motherfucker out of here. Moderators, please. Benz 9410. I don't have time for this bullshit. The fuck out of here. So you support Biden making war crimes? What? We're not even talking about that. So, Social Security, Medicare, they're coming after that. They want to do away with it. Healthcare. They want to kill the Affordable Care Act without even having a replacement. We'll figure it out. Oh, what? You want to actually throw millions of people off of healthcare and not have a replacement? That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard. For all of my life that I've been working, there's one ideal that I always remember, and I've told my kids, never leave a job unless you have one to go to. Right? Yeah, I understand you're miserable or whatever. Stay there until you have that replacement. Some people don't have the luxury of doing that. Some people just get the boot, And in this instance, if Republicans have their way, they're going to get the boot off of their health care, and then we'll have nothing to go to. So the 2024 election, it's not just presidential. It's these House races. It's these Senate races. Republicans have already shown that they cannot be trusted to legislate. They cannot be trusted to lead. They've spent their fucking time crying about gas stoves and M&Ms and book bans and all this other bullshit, and not focusing on what matters to the American people. When Democrats, on the other hand, had the majority in the House, what did we do? We passed infrastructure. Boom. We passed manufacturing bills that brought 800,000 jobs of manufacturing back to the United States. We passed the CHIPS bill that that helps us to start creating semiconductors and chips here in America so that we don't run into a logjam that happened before recently, where there was a backlog of orders for cars and shit like that. Why? Because all the batteries and the chips were coming from China. Now, the CHIPS Act helps that to come here. And so many other things that, Democrats, they're bringing the productivity. They're bringing the progress. That's what we need. We need to keep going forward, not keep going back. Lulu girl, thank you for the kind donation. Thank you. So, I kind of got way off track from Merrick Garland, today's You Raggedy Bish. But Merrick Garland, man, my expectations for you were low, but holy fuck. That's a meme, I know. But that's real. My expectations for him were low. Even when President Obama wanted him on the Supreme Court, expectations were low. Frankly, I wanted somebody who I thought had more of a killer instinct as the Attorney General, and I guess a lot of us did. So, oh well, there it is. Let's just hope he can turn things around. Okay, my friends, that's all I got to say. I'm pretty petered out from that from that rant session. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Storytime with BDD. I'm your host, BDD, aka Brooklyn Dad. You have any questions for me before I do my usual sign-off thing? Any questions? I'll take two because I know I'm running a little late. Trump Reaper says she needs another signed copy of The Littlest Presidente. Okie dokie. Send me your info and we'll make that happen. Say good night. Have a Jamie Raskin for AG. I like that. Veronica Teleu. I like that very much. I love Jamie Raskin. That dude is sharp. Man, he's sharp and seems like a totally solid good guy too. Yeah. What type of pizza tonight? You guys are gonna laugh, right? It's frozen pizza. it's excuse me. Frozen pizza. It's called Red Baron, and it's like a 3 cheese pizza. And we have these little. I discovered turkey pepperoni because I've never eaten pork, right? So I've been missing out on what the whole pepperoni experience is my entire life. I always see people eating pepperoni pizza and like, damn man, I wish I could have some of that because it looks good. So now I have it with this turkey pepperoni. It's delicious. Actually, I don't know if it's the same as real pepperoni. I never will know, but I'm enjoying. I love this. I used to get, fun fact, I used to get California Kitchen pizza, frozen pizza, That shit is expensive. So we were only buying it when it was on special, when it was on sale. But the kind that was, it had barbecue. It's like barbecue chicken with onions and pineapple. Yeah, delicious. Anyway, okay, so if you have not yet gotten your shot, then I don't know what to say to you. Shame on you. Shame on you. Keep your social distance 6 feet or better. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, relaxing weekend. I love the week. Oh, I got my car washed today. It's not like a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal for me because it was like this might probably be the longest time I went without washing the car. It was like 3 months. 3 months, no car wash. I couldn't anymore. It's just grimy and gritty, dusty. So now it feels like it's a new car again. Anyway, I will see you guys here. Same time, same place. I loves you all. Peace.